May session schools are deep in ToK Exhibition time at the moment, and students are writing their commentaries and teachers are assessing those commentaries. Some teachers have asked for support and advice on assessing the ToK Exhibition, so I thought it might be a good idea to make a short video on how I assess the ToK Exhibition. Welcome to ToK Today. I'm Daniel, and today I'm going to take you through how I assess the ToK Exhibition commentary. Now, I don't think that I know the secret sauce of how to assess the ToK Exhibition. I've done it in every May and November session since it was introduced, and I've never had a moderation. I just have a way of doing it. Maybe I've been lucky, and I'll share that way of doing it with you today. So, to start with, let's address the issue of global impression marking. According to IB, you're supposed to use global impression marking to assess the ToK Exhibition. But what is global impression marking? Well, according to the ToK subject guide from IB, it's a process of holistic or global judgment rather than an analytical process of totaling the assessment of separate criteria. The assessment instruments present 5 described levels of performance, and these levels are to be seen as global and holistic descriptors rather than as a checklist of necessary characteristics. When marking, the aim is to find the descriptor that conveys the most accurately the level attained by the student. It's not necessary for every single aspect of the level descriptor to be met for a mark in that level to be awarded. Okay, so you can read more about that if you wish to in the ToK subject guide from IB. In order to achieve greater clarity on global impression marking, I found the 4-part structure for the exhibition commentary that IB detailed in the May 2023 ToK subject report really very useful. So those 4 sections are identification of the object and its real-world context, the explanation of the link between the object and the prompt, the justification for the contribution of the object to the exhibition, and the supporting evidence and the references to the prompt. So I look at each object in terms of these 4 criteria. I don't give equal weighting to each of the 4 criteria. I generally think that criterion A to C are more important than D, and if you've done A to C, then you've probably done D. Further, if they've done C, then they've probably also done A and B and D. So C is the most important criteria because justification for the inclusion of the object in the exhibition is needed for 5 to 10 marks to be awarded. So, as a very rough rule of thumb, I give 25% of the marks for criterion A and B, 40% of the marks for C, and 10% of the marks for criterion D. However, I never write down this weighting on paper, and I just sort of hold that as a nominal weighting in my head because I've sort of read through global impression marking. As I read through the commentary for each object, I'm looking for content that I can award marks to under each of the 4 criteria. I may even keep a rough scorecard for each object. It looks a bit like this, what you're seeing on the screen at the moment. However, and this is an important however, I don't average those scores for each object. I just use those scores as a guide for looking at the descriptions in the marking bands. And as a good acolyte of global impression marking, I try to find the descriptor that best describes the commentary for that object. So, at the end of applying the 4-part structure, I've placed each object on the assessment rubric as you are seeing on the screen at the moment. I then try to find the midpoint between those descriptions to arrive at an overall marking band. Once I've got an overall marking band, I apply the IB's instructions for placement in that band. Now, they say that we should award the upper mark if the student's work demonstrates the qualities described in that level to a great extent. In this case, the work may be close to achieving marks in the level above, and they should award the lower mark if the student's work demonstrates the qualities described in that band to a lesser extent. In this case, the work may be close to achieving the marks in the level below. And they're the instructions in the ToK subject guide. So this process is summed up by this little diagram, which is available for free from the link in the video description. Now, just a couple more tips to help you to avoid the dreaded moderation reductions to the grades. In some ways, consistency in the assessment is nearly as important as accuracy. In order to achieve consistency, then internal moderation of the commentaries is important, some might say crucial. Moderation should certainly include all of the ToK teachers who taught the exhibition, but it could also usefully involve ToK teachers who do not teach the exhibition. Their assessment will be as impartial arbiters. Secondly, every ToK subject report emphasises the importance of the teacher's comments. They say that they don't want us to simply cut and paste from the assessment instrument, but they do want us to use the words from the assessment instrument. So what I do is I use the four-part structure for the comment, and I combine those structural categories with the qualitative descriptors found at the bottom of the assessment instrument. I take time crafting the comments, spending maybe 30 to 45 minutes on each comment for each student in the sample. It's time consuming, but it's worth it if you want to avoid the moderation of marks. So there we have it. It's not rocket science, it's assessment science. I hope this video was useful for those of you less experienced in assessing the exhibition. If you have any more requests for content from ToK Today, then please do get in touch with me, Daniel@toktoday.com. Thank you very much for watching. Stay ToKtastic, my friends.